I'll tell Bayindir and Mason Mount could be back soon for Man United to boss Ruben Amorim as we get into a crucial phase, a critical phase for Manchester United if we are going to survive relegation. Welcome to the United Sport. My name is Webb. Here is the team news ahead of our home game against Ipswich. Remember, Ipswich is coached by a former Man United head coach or as a first team coach, that is Kieran McKenna. So it's certainly going to be an interesting one. It's good we did get the better of a legend of the club, that is in Ruud van Nistelrooy. When he returned to Old Trafford, we beat him. Luckily, I should say, the story cannot be the same with Kieran McKenna because of all the recent coaches that Man United has had. I think Kieran McKenna has had the biggest impact on most of the players in this current squad. So there could be something in it. And that's exactly why you saw he gave Man United a proper run for their money in the 1-0 draw we had against them in the first game for Ruben Amorim as a head coach of Manchester United. So this cannot be an easy game. And that's why any news of returnees, I think, is very good for Amorim and whatever he's trying to do. So here we are. The news is suggesting that Altel Bayindir, Tom Heaton, and of course, Mason Mount are all working on their return to full fitness, and perhaps there is a faint hope that one of them or maybe could be back in the squad. No guarantees that they will be. Even Luke Shaw, by the way, Luke Shaw as well. There are no guarantees that any of them could be in the squad to play against Ipswich, but I think it's a good thing to know that they're at least progressing. The other players, that is Lisandro Martinez, Kobe Maino, and Amad Diallo are long-term absentees, but these three are working on their return. So their recovery is taking, I think, good progress. It's headed in the right direction. So that's, I think, something, it gives us something to be expectant about, because for Man United, I think we've been almost lacking anything to expect. We've been expectant about nothing. I think now that there is a chance that these players could be back, it gives us a little bit of, that bit of hope. And I'll be most interestingly focused on Altel Bayindir's return because it makes sense, because you look at one of the biggest issues we are having currently, it's the lack of form from our shortstopper in Andrew Onana. And the fact that there is no option on the bench, it's only a kid, an academic kid on the bench, you clearly see that Ruben Amorim is sort of disorganized. You clearly see it because we saw that, I think, before the injury that Bayindir sustained, his plan seemed to be to sort of slowly phase out Andrew Onana. Now, he got a setback, and you think it also affects the team in a way because Onana has clearly failed to be consistent. So I think Bayindir's return would be a good thing. It will also push Onana to do better, but also gives Ruben Amorim another option in between the sticks because he has been suffering there quite terribly. It's been bad to look at, especially in certain games where Onana has really failed at the basics of the game, parrying balls into play instead of parrying them away for a corner or a goal kick. So it's a bit bad. But I think Bayindir's return is one we'll be more excited about. For Mason Mount, there are still people who will have a faint hope in Mount because the reality is Amorim has not been lucky, or should I say Mount has not been lucky under Amorim. Neither has he been under Erik ten Hag. I think in terms of Man United and his time at Man United, has not been lucky at all. Not with Erik ten Hag, who made him his first signing the last summer. In that summer when he signed him, not the last, the one before that, when he signed him from Chelsea. And everyone was wondering why on earth he would make him his first signing, because he was not really that good even at Chelsea. So you think for Mount, and he has not been lucky. Injuries have not helped his case at all. He has been trying to prove himself. He still wants to prove himself. You wonder whether the chance will come, but with the injuries he has got, consistently being sick, it becomes extremely difficult for you to think it can happen. Even if Amorim, when he just arrived, spoke highly about him as a player who would be important in his style of play because of his pressing ability. So he's a hard worker, and of course those are players that Amorim wants to work with, so he can mold him into anything. But if you're never fit, where is the hard work going to make sense? So it's I think a thing of last chance maybe for Mason Mount, a little like Luke Shaw, the final chance. I mean, got a setback again, and different setback this time for Luke Shaw. Now almost returning. Will he prove himself? Because in the summer things will be different. But even then, even if Man United were looking to to move on from Mason Mount and Luke Shaw, they need to be fit. Who is going to buy them if they're not fit? So it's a good thing that these senior players are returning, and not that they really bring a lot to the team, but in terms of giving us a chance to sell them, because we can't sell them if they're not if they're not playing. So that's what's happening now. The youngsters, in terms of the youngsters, Amorim seems to be decided now that the youngsters will get a chance, because the latest report that we've received coming in from credible sources close to Carrington today do suggest that the coaches at Man United are becoming increasingly frustrated and tired of Rasmus Hojlund and his lack of goals, whereas certain members of the staff are trying to help him to fit in and perform. He's not improving. You can see that Zaxi is improving ever since that terrible game he had where he was terribly booed by the supporters. Zaxi has been consistently improving. We can all say that and admit to it. I think no one will come out there and attack Zaxi now. But Rasmus Hojlund, 16 games, no goal. He's not improving at anything, and it seems the coaches are feeling undone. And I think the fact that Amorim has in recent games been beginning to introduce Chido Obi is a sign that they're losing patience and trust in Rasmus Hojlund. So there is a bit of that pressure around him. So it's said that I think he has until the end of the season, until the summer, for him to try and save himself, or else they're either going to loan him or find a buyer. But again, who is going to buy a striker who is not scoring goals? I mean, no one really in their right mind can pay a lot of money for potential of a player like that, who certainly Man United would be overpricing, because they bought him for quite a lot of money. So it's a very a difficult situation for the players at Man United now. But you can imagine how difficult it is for Amorim, the guy managing them, because the expectation is still always going to be high from the supporters out there. So he just has to figure out solutions without any sentiments, no feelings. He's just got to do the right thing for the club. So that's why many players now are playing and living under pressure. They are walking on eggshells. They don't know what's going to happen next for them, because things are not shifting for them. They were struggling at everything, the basics. They veer off what they do in training, have very good training. And for a coach, for any coach, there is nothing more painful than doing things in training, doing certain things in training. You look okay, you look good in training. People seem to grasp the things you do. And when it comes to match day, they fail to execute. It feels so bad. You feel either betrayed by the players, or it's bad. It's a bad place to be. You don't want to be there. So Amorim is having to go through all that. But you can imagine for the players how it should feel. I think being the ones who have got to execute, but they clearly can't, and it's glaring. So that's where Man United is for you guys. Ahead of the game against Ipswich, stubborn opponent. That's the update. But what we know is that Chido Obi has earned the trust. There will be more time for Chido Obi. Keep increasing the time. He has earned that trust. He's, I think, growing into the role that Amorim is trying to introduce him to. And don't you be surprised if soon Amorim makes the hard decision and perhaps selects this kid ahead of Hojlund, because the reports coming in are not looking good at all. So that's exactly where we are now with Manchester United. Subscribe to the United of Sport. My name is Webb. Like, share, and subscribe. And let me know who you're most excited about seeing of all these senior players, or are you completely done and have given up on any senior player at Man United, and any injury update would, in terms of a return, would not excite you at all? Let me know what you think in the comment section. Cheers.